Hey everybody, welcome to Two Comic Book Dudes. Tonight we are doing a Kickstarter spotlight for Natalia the Catholic. And we have, I'm sorry, I'm Aaron. I just jumped right in. I just wanted to get to the story.
So
Um,
exciting.
I'm Aaron, editor-in-chief of Comic Booked.
Hey everybody, Justin, managing editor over at Comic Booked.
And with us by phone today is D.M. Morales, and she is the writer of Natalia the Catholic. Welcome.
Hi.
So, Danielle, right? Is it okay if I call you Danielle?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. Um, this Kickstarter has been running for about 22 days.
Mhm.
You got about 8 days left, and you're a little under half funded. So we wanted to help out and push this really cool story idea. Natalia the Catholic, a renegade nun, and you want to just give us some insight into what drove you to write the story. You know, kind of what was your inspiration, and then what could we expect to see out of that first book?
So what drove me to write the story is I was unemployed for about 5 months. I was out of work, and I had recently moved and gotten a bunch of family heirlooms and stuff like that, one of which was my grandfather's crucifix. My family, they were from Puerto Rico, very, very Catholic, and he had all this stuff, and it was something I looked at once and then set aside and just left it on the windowsill. And every day passing it just must have had an effect on my brain, because then I just started thinking of this story, like what if there was someone who was impassioned about this, and what if there was someone who had to fight for the right thing and had started from a perspective, because then I think even if you're not Catholic, I think there's definitely a culture to it that you're aiming for the right thing, and you don't necessarily live a perfect life or even, a really good one, but there is this ideal of how things ought to be. And there is this kind of idea of lesser of two evils that,
Sure.
you'll essentially be forgiven. And so it's just passing it every day. I just started thinking of this woman, and, she wouldn't be alone. She'd have these friends, and they would have their different ways of going about things too. And so I just started writing every day, and it took about 5 months. And then I came up with this story. I already kind of know how the next couple books, if I ever get to that point, this is, it's a 5-part volume that'll be about 200 pages. I already know the next 2 books, they'll have the other 2 characters and their backstories and things of that nature, but this one's all about Natalia and her backstory and where she comes from and what she's doing and why it's important.
Cool. So why'd you choose Kickstarter? What was the draw there?
Well, I think Kickstarter, for one, it just gives people an opportunity to fund something that they wouldn't otherwise be able to do. Small businesses, any idea really is hard to do unless you have the backers for it, and so you can risk taking out a big loan, and you could risk kind of losing a lot. And so there's that obvious financial aspect. Another aspect is Kickstarter and websites like that. They more or less tell you if something is good or not, because if you can get a lot of attention to it, something's just fun immediately overnight, and
Right.
then it's clearly that was a great idea. And then some things, they kind of flop, and then it's like, well, maybe that needs more tweaking. So I think part of me would just, this practical aspect, and then the other part was like, well, let's see if this has any merit. Let's see if
Sure.
other people want to read about a vigilante nun.
That's cool. Yeah, we've interviewed another company. What was it, Jazz Wings, a few months ago, and they're kind of like the Kickstarter prequel. They kind of consider themselves. So they help to evaluate projects, and then they do like all the marketing stuff too, which is kind of a cool idea. So just piggybacking on the whole idea of crowdfunding, crowdsourcing. But yeah, Kickstarter's been great for a lot of projects, and there's been a lot of projects that we've interviewed folks and really, really pushed, and then it just doesn't happen. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But hopefully we help you out and get a push on this in that last week, and get you over the $5,000 that you're asking for this first book.
Oh.
Yeah, I had a question about the art. So, once you came up with the story, how did you go about finding an artist and things like that?
Well, so I had a really, and maybe it's everyone who has a project that they really, really care about. Maybe I'm just a jerk, but I had a really specific kind of idea of how things ought to be. And I had just put an ad online. I put an ad on Craigslist, and I said, this is, what I want to do. This is my idea, and let me see some of your artwork. And then I got a lot of really amazing replies and a lot of people who had just phenomenal artwork. But then a few of them, just about 2 or 3, I said, well, here are these people. Here's how I envision them. Do you mind drawing what you think they look like? And Brian just got it really fast. And 2 of the characters needed some tweaking, but one character, it was like, he was just there. From the description, he was like, oh, she would naturally look like this, down to the scowl. And I was
Very
like,
cool.
All right, cool. I would like to work with you.
Nice. Well, that's cool when you get that right off the bat, that kind of really the artistic chemistry that works together, putting the story in the art. That's awesome.
Yeah, cool experience.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll be sure to have a link to Natalia the Catholic, and everybody can go check that out and hopefully fund it and get it funded. So talk about some of the rewards that you've got out there. What kind of things can people expect to see at different levels of funding?
Yeah, so I wanted to keep it things that people would actually care about. And so in my mind's eye, probably because it's my baby, I think that once this book is out there and once people start reading it, I think these are characters that they're going to want the stuff for, like the stickers or whatnot, or just images or posters, because I'm like, of course they would. They're so cool. But I also understand that no one has any frame of references for these characters, and so I wanted to kind of keep that part really limited and just focus on what people would actually want. And so you can just get a PDF or the book. You get thanked in the book, but probably the most interesting thing that people have seemed to like the best is for $50, you can actually be a bad guy in the book. Nice. And so, yeah, and for some bad guys, they're going to get murdered super fast. And then some bad guys, yeah. And so, if you're fine with your head exploding within a couple pages, but, that's still pretty cool, and you can still have that. But then some characters are going to end up being characters who go throughout all 5 books. So this one that we're funding now is just the 50 pages, and then some characters are going to, be in the full run, the full 200 pages.
Very cool. So yeah, it's not. I've seen some other Kickstarters where they do that, and they'll write you into the book, but that's usually like, $1,000 or $1,500 or something. So for $50, that's pretty reasonable to get written into a book. That's pretty cool. So it's a good opportunity for somebody. Yeah. All right. Well, the one question that we always ask, Justin, I'll pass over to you.
Okay. All right. So, what comic got you into comics, and or was there a specific comic that you read and you were like, I can do this?
So probably it's not. Let's count again. So Sin City is the short answer.
Okay.
All of the Sin City and just all the books on that. And I don't know. I think that was probably my first experience where I was like, wow, this is really freaking cool. But I don't think that I actually thought this is something I can do until I had this whole thing playing out in my head that can only be told this way. I don't even think a year ago I would have thought that. But short answer would be Sin City, Frank Miller.
Nice.
So cool. So you think we'll see some Frank Miller-esque scenes in your book then?
Yeah,
You mentioned heads exploding, so
Yeah, go to the Kickstarter. There's certainly already some women in lingerie who are pretty violent. So yeah, that's not, hopefully he doesn't have that whole idea copywritten because,
I don't think women in lingerie killing people is copyrightable, so we should be safe. All right. Well, really look forward to seeing this come to fruition. I'd love to read that first issue at least. So, we'll put the word out and hopefully get you funded.
All right, thank you for talking to me.
Okay. Yeah, well, thanks a lot for joining us. We appreciate the fans out there who watch and listen as well. Definitely like, share, subscribe. Leave us some comments if you've got any questions for Danielle about the project. I know you can also go on Kickstarter and ask questions directly. And while you're at it, just click back this project. Even for $5, every little bit helps. So we appreciate you doing that. And that's it. So thanks, Danielle. We appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, and for everybody else out there, go read more comics.
That's right. And go fund some Kickstarters.
That's right. Thanks a lot.
Good night.